Thank you all for joining. Good morning. My name is Odelia Malka. I'm the head of the strategic department at Argentum Consultant. And in this short webinar today, I would like to share with you the methodology we developed for entities that wish to include grants in their funding strategy. And more specifically, I would like to present you our comprehensive approach to target and obtain European non-dilutive funding, specially designed for for-profit entities. So in the next 3 slides, I will explain a bit more the 3 notions that are here in pink. So what do I mean about EU non-dilutive funding? It's quite a bright scope. The scope of activity in terms of grants. Just a second, I receive a message. Do you hear me? Okay, I was told that the screen is not shared. I'm sorry. I was sure. Do you see it now? Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. And sorry for that. So again, this was the introduction about the 3 notion I presented. So the comprehensive approach to target and obtain EU non-dilutive funding, and especially designed for for-profit entities. So what do I mean about EU non-dilutive funding? It's a very large scope that can be divided in several categories. Here in this slide, I decided to present this scope by categories of type of funding and source of funding. As you can see, we have the scope of national funding that depends on your registration location and usually needs to address some national interest. We have the European funding. Some of them require collaborative projects. Some of them can be applied independently. We have the intergovernmental programs. Part of them are bilateral, which are an agreement between 2 specific countries, or a program that involves more countries. We have tenders, we have loans, different type of funding mechanism. We have very large European consortia, association, foundation. So there is a lot of a type of tracks and sources. This whole scope is quite complex, and this is exactly where we put our effort in screening, understanding, deepening our mastering of each of these track, understanding the funding mechanism, the eligibility criteria, and so on and so forth. So we have now a very bright library that is actually constantly growing and over 500 funding tracks and sources. I talked about especially designed for for-profit entity. Why did I use this concept? It's because all these scope of funding track are targeting different type of applicants. Mainly when we talk about collaborative project, we need different type of applicants. So according to these types that are eligibility criteria, we developed a methodology that is adapted to each of these type. And today I'm focusing on the type that are for-profit entity that can be startups, SMEs, large industry. So we call it also industrial applicants. In the EU grant world, we're talking a lot about bridging between research and industry. So here we are in the industry world. And then lastly, I talked about a comprehensive approach. A comprehensive approach or a holistic approach here is needed because the scope is very wide and very complex. So we need to compete with this complexity and develop a step-by-step guide tools to approach it. This whole comprehensive approach, we called it the Argentum multi-submission strategy. Why? Because it's considering non-dilutive funding as a long-term strategy for a company, as a long-term funding strategy, and it's based on building up a submission plan that would include multiple grants. I'll deepen the understanding of the multi-submission strategy in the next slide. I will just present also the second pillar that is included here and is especially designed for this whole big collaborative project consortia. And this is what we call the Argentum Consortia link, and I'll deepen the understanding in the slide after. So multi-submission strategy, what is it and for who is it designed for? So again, we're talking about for-profit entity that are willing to find funds to develop R&D activities, usually R&D activities that are at risk in terms of innovation, that are not, as in the EU jargon they call it, not bankable, meaning that a bank would not take the risk in investing in that. It's for entities that are willing to develop and explore other verticals. So they have quite a large overview and R&D planning. And that want also to position the company in this grants world, because as we know, to receive a grant is not only money, it's also a certain label or certificate. What does it include in terms of service? We can say that it includes two parts. One is to have a strategist that is close to you, mapping your R&D needs, assets, ambitions, accordingly identifying the right funding tracks and building up this timeline submission plan over the year. And of course, the second service or support here is the support for the proposal preparation and submissions of this track, because to identify the track is not enough. We need also to work on a whole proposal. Why do we think that the multi-submission strategy is a good strategy or comprehensive strategy for non-dilutive funding? Because we do believe that while applying only for one grant, you have a certain average of chances of success. But by multiplying, you increase your chances of success. You also build up a more adapted funding strategy, because usually when you apply for one grant, you will decide on the most competitive one with the highest budget. Very nice, but the chances of success will not be very high. Therefore, you need to expand more and to be very accurate on where you choose to apply for, what would be the funding source that would be the most interested to invest in you. Why also? Well, this is mainly the added value that I would mention for the multi-submission strategy. The second pillar that was actually included in this whole comprehensive strategy is the Argentum Consortia link. The Argentum Consortia link was developed a bit after the first MSS, because we understood that for-profit entities do have a specific interest in participating in this large EU consortia world, but it's not an easy task. In most of the cases, it will not be in their interest, in your interest, to lead a big consortia. It might take you out of scope because you're an industrial entity that is focusing on its own product development or service development, and you're not willing to allocate your time and resources in coordinating large scope EU project, but you are interested in participating in those, because it positions you very well in the EU grants world. It also develop your partnerships that might be also in the future business partnerships. if you're interested in a wide R&D pipeline, R&D that includes research and also development, you would be interested to ally, to join forces with academic partners, for example. And this can be done within large European consortia. What does it include in terms of service? We support the whole partner search need through partnering platform, through our ecosystem, through your ecosystem. We know how to contact them and develop, establish those partnerships. You need to understand also that here it's not business partnership, for example, it's R&D partnership. It's another type. And this is exactly where we are expert in. So establishing those R&D partnership. We also help you join consortia by contacting, consolidating consortia, contacting coordinators in order to present you as an attractive joining partner. For this, we will enable you to create your profile as a partner, identify your added value as a partner, the different type of role you can take in a large consortia. And lastly is to take part in our Argentum consortia ecosystem, which is an ecosystem that we are using as a tool internally for building up consortia. When we look for a partner to join a consortia, this is the ecosystem we are using, and therefore to be part of it would be interesting. Why to make this, why this approach is good, why I think it tackles well this whole large EU consortia complexity. It enables you to participate in more projects like this. It also develops a certain methodology that reduces the workload needed in order to participate in it, because you're building up a profile, you can use it. Something is very methodic and usable automatically in different consortia or different settings. It enables you these partnerships if it's something that you want, and you gain access to different type of assets that maybe others have. If you need specific databases, if you need specific infrastructures that you don't have but the others have, and then you gain access to it. So these are the two pillars, methodological pillars that we developed within this multi-submission strategy. I hope I was clear. The whole idea is here to facilitate access to EU funding through these developed tools, and mainly to make it very tailor-made and adapted for the needs, assets, and ambitions of the applicant. This is why we developed this comprehensive approach, but then we tailor-made it to the applicant. So thank you for listening to me today, and I hope we'll have the chance to discuss soon. Thank you very much. Wish you a good day.